Students, as you know that I have already discussed question tags in part 1 and part 2. Now in the third and final part I am going to discuss tags of complex sentences. But before going to discuss tags of complex sentences, let us try to understand what a complex sentence is. A sentence having one principal clause and one or more subordinate clauses is called a complex sentence. It means a complex sentence is formed by joining principal clause with one or more subordinate clauses. For example, I know that he will come. Here, the first part I know is the principal clause or main clause, and the second part that he will come is the subordinate clause. And this is called subordinate clause because the second part, which is that he will come, depends on the first part for its complete meaning. Now, the second example is he believes that you are a physician. Here, the first part, he believes, is the principal clause or main clause, and the second part, that you are a physician, is the subordinate clause, and this is subordinate clause because this part, which is that you are a physician, depends on the first part. Now, we see the question tag in a complex sentence. Rule number one: if we want to make a tag question on a complex sentence, generally the tag question is formed on the principal clause or main clause. That is, the tag question is not formed on the subordinate clause. It means if there is a complex sentence, then we form the tag question on the main clause. In general case, we form the tag on main clause or the principal clause. For example, unless you come, I will not go, will I? Here, the main clause is I will not go, and the subordinate clause is unless you come, and hence the tag question is will I, and that is formed on the main clause or the principal clause I will not go. The second example is wait here until I come back. Will you? Same thing is here also. The tag question will you is formed on the principal clause wait here. Similarly, when he went home, he had known everything, hadn't he? Here also the tag question hadn't he is formed on the principal clause, that is, he had known everything. Now, rule number two, we have if the subject of the main clause is the first person I and any of the following verbs is there, like hope or believe or think or know or wish or suppose, then the question tag is formed on the subordinate clause. It means if there is a complex sentence and the subject of the main clause or the principal clause is the first person I, and if we find any of the following verbs like hope or believe or think or know or wish or suppose is there, then we form the tag question on the subordinate clause, not on the principal clause. For example, I know he is a talented man, isn't he? Here, the tag question, isn't he, is formed on the subordinate clause because the main clause subject is first person I, okay, and the verb is no. The second example is I wish that John will do well in the exam, won't he? Again, the tag question is formed on the subordinate clause, that is, that John will do well in the exam. Now, third example, I believe that Remy will never do harm to others. will see. Again, here the question tag will see is formed on the subordinate clause that Remy will never do harm to others. So it is clear from the rule number 2 that the tag question is formed on the subordinate clause if the subject of the main clause is the first person I and any of the following verbs is present there. Now we have rule number 3. If there is no conjunction in the complex sentence, we have to form tag on the second clause. Okay. So for example, I think you had better leave this place, hadn't you? Here we have formed question tag, hadn't you, on the second clause, that is, you had better leave this place. Now, in the second example, I hope you will do better in life, won't you? Again, in this complex sentence, there is no conjunction between the main clause and the subordinate clause, and hence the tag question is formed on the second clause, that is, you will do better in life. See the third example. I know you have done this mistake, haven't you? This is also an example of complex sentence, and here also we find that there is no conjunction between the main clause and the subordinate clause. Hence, the tag question is formed on the second clause, that is, you have done this mistake. And that's for all today.